She came into my office holding a piece of paper. It was a grocery list, 7 items. Nothing complicated. Bread, milk, eggs, the usual things. She looked at me and said, "Sarah." I stood in that aisle for 10 minutes, and I couldn't remember why I was there. Her name was Margaret. She was 68 years old. She had raised 3 children, run a small business for 20 years, and remembered every birthday, every anniversary, every detail of every person she loved. And now she was standing in a grocery store, staring at a list she had written herself, and feeling like a stranger in her own mind. I want you to hear me when I say this. That moment changed how I practice medicine. My name is Dr. Sarah Jenkins. I'm an integrative medicine physician based in Austin, Texas. I've been working with patients over 60 for more than 15 years, and in that time, I've worked alongside over 4,000 men and women who came to me with the exact same fear Margaret had, that their mind was slipping and no one could tell them why. Today, I'm going to tell you why, and more importantly, I'm going to tell you what you can actually do about it. Because what I've discovered, after years of research, patient work, and some late nights I'd rather forget, is that brain fog after 60 is almost never what people think it is. It is not inevitable. It is not just getting older. And it is absolutely not something you simply have to accept. There is one hidden reason your mind feels slow. And once you understand it, everything else starts to make sense. Let me walk you through it. Most of my patients arrive believing the same thing. They believe their brain is shrinking, or that neurons are just dying off. They've been told it's normal for your age. They've been handed pamphlets about memory exercises and told to do crossword puzzles. And I respect the intention behind that advice. But I need to be honest with you. It is missing the root of the problem entirely. Here is what the research actually shows. A landmark study out of the University of Southern California found that inflammation in the brain, not age, is the single most common driver of cognitive slowdown in adults over 60. Neuroinflammation. That's the word that changed everything for me. Your brain has its own immune system. Most people don't know that. It has specialized cells called microglia, and their job is to protect you, to fight off threats, clear out debris, keep everything running clean. But here's where it gets dangerous. After 60, something shifts. The triggers that cause those immune cells to activate, stress, poor sleep, processed foods, even loneliness, become more frequent, and those microglia can get stuck in an Owen position. Instead of protecting your brain, they start attacking it. The result? A brain that feels like it's running through mud, words that disappear right before you say them, that awful feeling of walking into a room and having no idea why you went there, the mental fatigue that hits you by 2 in the afternoon, even when you slept just fine. That is not your brain giving up. That is your brain on fire, and no one told you. Now here's the part that genuinely makes me angry as a physician, because this process doesn't happen overnight. It builds slowly, over months, over years. And most people, most doctors, honestly, aren't looking for it until the damage is already significant. The window to intervene is not infinite. Every month that inflammation goes unchecked, the connection pathways in your brain get a little more disrupted. The signals get a little slower. The retrieval, that moment of reaching for a word or a memory, gets a little harder. I'm not telling you this to frighten you. I'm telling you because you deserve the truth, and because the truth has a solution attached to it. So what actually calms neuroinflammation? What actually supports the brain's ability to clear that fog? I'm going to share the 3 lifestyle pillars I give every patient who walks into my clinic with this problem. The first one is sleep, but not just any sleep. Your brain has a waste clearance system called the glymphatic system, and it only runs during deep sleep. It literally flushes out the inflammatory byproducts that build up during the day. If you're not getting quality deep sleep, that flush doesn't happen. The The debris accumulates. The fog gets worse. What I tell my patients, protect the first 2 hours after you fall asleep. That's when deep sleep is richest. Avoid screens for 60 minutes before bed. Keep your room cool. Around 67 degrees is the research sweet spot. And if you wake up at night and can't get back to sleep, do not lie there anxious. Get up, do something quiet, and let sleep come back naturally. The second pillar is something I call anti-inflammatory eating. But I want to be careful here, because I am not asking you to go on a diet. I am asking you to crowd out the foods that pour gasoline on brain inflammation, refined vegetable oils, ultra-processed snack foods, high-sugar beverages. These create what researchers call inflammaging, a slow, chronic inflammatory state that accelerates cognitive aging. What helps? Fatty fish twice a week, blueberries, genuinely one of the most brain-supportive foods in existence, olive oil, leafy greens, walnuts. These are not superfoods in the trendy sense. They are foods with decades of research showing they directly support brain cell health and reduce inflammatory markers. The third pillar surprises people every single time I mention it. It is connection. Loneliness, and I don't mean sadness, I mean actual social isolation, is now recognized as one of the most potent drivers of neuroinflammation in older adults. A study published in Nature Aging found that socially isolated adults had significantly higher levels of brain inflammatory markers than those with regular, meaningful contact. Your brain was designed to exist in relationship. When it is cut off from that, it treats the isolation as a threat. And the immune response fires. If you've been spending more time alone since retirement, since losing a spouse, since the pandemic changed everything, please hear me. Finding even one person to connect with deeply, regularly, is not a luxury. It is medicine. Now I want to pause for a second and say, if this is resonating with you, if you're watching this and thinking, this sounds like exactly what's happening to me, I have something I want to share with you. Check the pinned comment below this video. I left something there that I think you'll want to see. Let me now tell you about something I wasn't expecting to find. When I was deep in the research on neuroinflammation, reading papers, comparing outcomes from my own patients, trying to understand why some people responded to these lifestyle changes faster than others, I kept running into a specific set of natural compounds with peer-reviewed research behind them, compounds that appeared to work directly on the microglial activation I mentioned earlier, calming the inflammatory cascade, supporting the brain's own clearing mechanisms, helping restore the kind of clear, fluid thinking my patients were mourning. I spent months cross-referencing the evidence, and eventually I found a formula that brought these compounds together in the right ratios. Compounds including lion's mane mushroom, phosphatidylserine, and several others with serious scientific backing. That formula is called the brain song. I don't want you to leave this video without knowing it exists. Not because I'm here to sell you anything. I'm not going to talk about price. I'm not going to make you a limited time offer. What I'm telling you is that after working with thousands of patients on this exact problem, this is something I believe in enough to share openly. The way I use it with my patients is as a complement to the 3 pillars I just described, not a replacement. A support system for a brain that's been under fire and needs real, targeted help to recover. You can find it in the pinned comment below. That's the only place I'm putting this, because I want you to have it, and I want it to be easy to find. Let me tell you about Dorothy. Dorothy is 67 years old. She lives in Georgia. When she first came to me, she told me she had stopped driving on highways because she was scared she'd lose track of where she was going. She said, "I feel like I'm watching my life through a foggy window." Within 3 months of working on neuroinflammation, sleep, diet, connection, and adding targeted nutritional support, Dorothy told me she drove to see her daughter in Atlanta alone and remembered every turn. Carol is 71 from Arizona. Her main complaint was word retrieval. She'd be mid-sentence and the word would just vanish. She found it humiliating. She started avoiding social situations because of it. After 4 months, she told me, "I'm talking again. I forgot how much I love to talk." Linda, 68, from Tennessee, came in convinced she had early dementia. Her own fear was the loudest symptom she had. What we found instead was severe sleep disruption and a diet high in inflammatory oils. 6 weeks into targeted support, she called my office to say she had read an entire novel, cover to cover, in under 2 weeks. She hadn't done that in 3 years. And Barbara, 74, from Virginia, told me something I think about often. She said, "I was starting to become invisible, even to myself." Barbara had been isolating since her husband passed. The inflammation in her brain was being fed by grief and loneliness as much as anything else. When she joined a weekly walking group and added real nutritional support, she told me she felt like she had come back into focus. These are not miracles. These are women who finally understood what was actually happening in their brains and took meaningful, targeted action. And that is exactly what I want for you. I need you to understand something. The window you have right now, this moment of clarity, this moment of recognizing yourself in what I've described, this matters. Because the earlier you address neuroinflammation, the more you preserve, the more you protect, the more of your mind you get to keep. I've watched patients wait. I've watched them tell themselves it's not that bad. It's probably just stress. It'll get better on its own. And sometimes it does plateau, but often it doesn't. And I would rather you have this information and not need it than need it and not have it. So here is what I want you to do right now. Look at the pinned comment under this video. I've left everything there, including information about the Brain Song formula and how my patients are using it. Read it. Make an informed decision for yourself. You deserve a mind that feels like yours again. And you deserve a doctor who tells you the truth, even when it's urgent, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it means saying out loud what no one else has said to you yet. Your brain is not giving up. It is asking for help. And today, you finally know where to start.